This gentleman wants to know who is doing this on the floor. So my mom is. Nobody wants to do insurance. Nobody wants to buy insurance. Everybody thinks insurance is very expensive. And it is, but it's also very necessary. You will understand how good insurance is the day that you need that cover.
Right. Welcome to another episode of the Transform podcast. This is episode number 8, and I'm extremely excited today because I have here a personal friend of mine, Mary Martinez. She's a guest of the podcast and a friend now. So without further ado, Mary, who are you? Tell the audience who you are.
Hi, Alex. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I came from Cuba and went to Connecticut and ended up in the insurance world. I've been doing insurance since 1969, so probably long before you were born. I work for different companies, for Aetna, for Travelers, for Connecticut General. I started from the very bottom cleaning floors, and I ended up owning my own business.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Tell me about that experience of coming from Cuba and going to Connecticut.
Back in the 60s, it was different than now, but still it was challenging. Came with my sister, my mom, and my dad. Soon after we arrived in Connecticut, my dad got sick, and we needed to start working to help with the family. Even though I went to school, I went to the University of Hartford. I graduated with a degree in education. However, my path, my journey took me into the insurance world because of the fact that I was in Hartford working for different insurance companies.
Beautiful. So tell me about that. Tell me exactly how you went from studying to the insurance business.
The insurance business is a good business. It's a profitable business. And I was living in Hartford, where it's the insurance city of the world. I had the opportunity of working with the best, working for Hartford Insurance Group. I worked for Aetna. I worked for Connecticut General. I learned the business. I learned the business when there was no computers, where we have to really go through the books and learn. And I learned how to do insurance the right way. I started working for Hartford Insurance Group when my dad got sick. I started by cleaning floors.
Wow.
I was cleaning floors, cleaning the offices, and one day we had the opportunity of meeting the president of the company, who happened to live in Cuba for a while. And, he asked me several questions, and I was able to answer them right. And he took me out of the cleaning crew and put me into the claims department. I worked in claims for many, many years. I worked in the actuarial department. I worked in the underwriting department. So my knowledge in insurance is deep. I know how the insurance works. I know the definition of insurance since from the background on. I love the world. I love the world of insurance. I love to help people. I want people to understand. I wish I could, instead of selling insurance, I could teach insurance. I want to tell people what insurance is all about. Everybody hates insurance. Nobody wants to talk about insurance. Insurance is very high. The premiums are high. The coverage is not correct. And I understand all that. But if you understand the need of insurance, you will have an idea, and you will understand, and you will like, more to know a little bit about insurance.
And that's great. That's great that you brought that up, because later on I'm going to ask you a couple questions exactly about that.
Okay.
But I want to take you back to that moment where a simple interaction changed the course of your life. So tell me more about that day. What type of questions were asked? What type of responses? What made this gentleman, the president of this company, offer you guys this opportunity?
Okay, like I said before, I was cleaning the offices. I needed the money because, like I said, my dad was sick.
Yeah.
I was doing it after school. I did not tell my mother about it, but she soon found out that I was doing this. She understood the need of me bringing some money to the house. So she told me, okay, I'm going to let you do that, but I'm going to go with you. So my mom started coming with me after school to the office and helping me with the cleaning. My mom was a bohemian type person. She really liked to paint. She liked to sew. She liked to embroider. She was really into art. And then after we cleaned the carpeting, she will make designs on the carpeting and like mountains, rainbows,
Wow.
things like that. And I kept telling her, don't do that, they're gonna fire us, they don't like these things. But she kept on doing them. One day, my boss came and said, this gentleman wants to know who is doing this on the floor. So my mom is, and he was surprised and he was grateful that somebody took their time to do such a beautiful thing on the floor,
Wow.
And in the morning they said that everybody wanted to come into the conference room to see what was on the floor that day, what painting was on the floor, what drawing was on the floor. And then all of a sudden he started talking to me in Spanish, and it was a good Spanish. There was no accent, and I couldn't understand. This is an executive of this company, an American guy, talking perfect Spanish. And then he tells me that he lived in Cuba, that his father was in the sugar mill factories, and that he went to school in Cuba, so he knew how to speak Spanish.
What are the chances, right?
And what are the chances? And then he asked me if I knew how to type. And I said, I do. My father was, before we came, he made sure that we knew how to type. And I typed an envelope, I typed a letter. And then he asked me if I wanted to start in another department, if I wanted to start in the claims department. And then he took my mother out and put it in the filing room.
Wow.
So that's how I started my life in the insurance world. Then I finished high school. I went to the University of Hartford. There was a Cuban club in Hartford, and I was lucky enough to be the queen of the club. So my prize was a scholarship. So I went to the University of Hartford on a full scholarship.
Wow.
I wanted to study education. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have kids, and I wanted to have time for my kids. So I said, I'm not going to do insurance. I'm going to go into education. I'm going to have my summers off. I want to be home early. I want to take care of my kids. And that's why I went into education.
Oh, you actually ended up going into education.
I ended up going into the education. I got my degree in education from the University of Hartford. I came to Miami, got married, came to Miami, and there were no jobs in Miami for teaching at that time.
Wow.
So I ended up working for an insurance company.
Look at that.
And soon after that, I met this family that owned a domestic insurance, meaning a company that was from Miami.
Okay.
So I started worked for them for about 20 years. In the claims department, I was supervising over 65 employees. Then the company, after Andrew, the company went under, and I decided to start my own business. I was lucky enough to work for Allstate Insurance.
Here in Miami.
Here in Miami. Allstate gave me an opportunity.
How did that come to happen?
A friend of mine worked for Allstate and asked me, I was an independent agent, he asked me if I wanted to go with Allstate. And I said yes. That was the best thing that happened to me.
Tell me more, why?
I was able to build up a good business. I was able to buy my house, to pay for my kids' education. I was able to learn, to grow, to meet wonderful people. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh.
And I sold my business. I had to sell my business because it was difficult. My situation was bad.
Right.
But I guess God had another
Plan for you.
plan for me. There's a couple of years after, I got better. My son came into Allstate. I was coming here and helping, and one day he went to a meeting, and the manager asked my son how I was doing, And he said, oh, she's doing fine. She needs to do something. And Allstate offered me another contract.
Wow.
So I started for the second time with Allstate. I was already a 60-year-old woman.
Look at that.
Sick. And they believed in me and gave me another opportunity, which I took, and I ran with it.
Yeah.
It was a good business decision. It was, excellent for me. I concentrated my expertise in commercial insurance.
Okay.
I am an expert in commercial insurance. I know how commercial insurance works, and I built up a tremendous book of business.
For the people that do not know what commercial insurance is, could you explain that in the easiest terms that you can?
Commercial insurance is the insurance that all businesses need. If you have a business, if you use your auto for business, you need a commercial auto insurance. You don't need a personal auto insurance. If you own a building, if you have a plumbing business, a painting business, a doctor's business, you need certain type of liability insurance for your business. So commercial insurance is like personal lines, but designed for commercial.
Right.
Which is sometimes there's a misconception that commercial insurance is more expensive, but it's not.
Okay.
Commercial insurance is the right insurance for businesses. There's different forms, there are 10 million forms of commercial insurance, but commercial insurance is for business. Every business should have a commercial policy. I consider myself an expert in commercial insurance. I can review a policy, and out of 10 policies that I review, or 10 businesses that I visit that I review their policies, I can tell you that 80% of A policies are wrong.
Wow.
So it's very important to have the right agent for your commercial insurance business.
Perfect. And I'm happy that you brought me there, because in this incredible story of opportunity and overcoming that you had, you also mentioned misconceptions. So I wanted to ask you, I always take a minute to ask, what are some common misconceptions that you hear in the insurance business that you would like to debunk?
Okay, here, especially in Miami, insurance is very expensive.
Yes.
And it is a misconception, even though there's some reality to it.
Yeah.
But what's worse, not having insurance? It's better to pay the insurance, and in case of a loss, you have a coverage. Nobody likes insurance. There's a world of misconception about insurance. Nobody wants to do insurance. Nobody wants to buy insurance. Everybody thinks insurance is very expensive. And it is, but it's also very necessary. You will understand how good insurance is the day that you need that coverage.
Right. To the person that pays for insurance and never has to use it is like a money badly spent.
Right.
And for the guy that needs insurance, it's like the best possible thing in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're a professional, if you understand insurance, you can explain to your customer the need of insurance and the need of good coverage. I hear people, I paid my house, I don't need insurance anymore.
That's a goal.
Okay, that is true. You don't need insurance anymore. But what about if there's a fire? Who's going to pay for that? What about a hurricane? Who's going to pay for that? And let's say that you can afford that loss. Let's say you have money, you can afford that loss, you don't care. But what about liability? Liability pays on your behalf to others. Liability is you have no knowledge of how much a claim is going to be when there's a liability issue. So if your house is paid off, you don't want to have insurance because you have money to replace your house, at least get a liability policy. What about if somebody gets hurt in your property? What about if the shooting and somebody gets killed in your property? Liability is extremely important. Same thing with cars. I have a good customer of mine, that called me one day and tells me, Mary, my sister-in-law just got an accident. So she got into an accident, and she hit somebody, a pedestrian.
Wow.
The person is in bad shape, and I want you to review the policy. When I review the policy, this person is a mid-aged person with property, with a paid house, with money in the bank. I mean, well-off person. And the liability policy that this person had was a $10,000 liability policy, 1020.
What does that mean in that specific scenario?
That specific scenario means that if she gets sued, the company is going to pay $10,000. There's no more money.
And then they will go after the personal
They will
property.
go after whatever assets they might have. And
Wow.
then the lady tells me that she had $1 million liability policy, but when she paid off her car, she was advised to lower the coverage because she didn't need those coverages anymore. That is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, person like that needs that $1 million liability. And in that case of that accident,
She needed it.
she needed it. So I told my friend, you know what? Get an attorney. Get somebody to represent this lady
ASAP.
fast. Because I have no idea what's going to happen. So, you know, you need to understand what your coverages are. You need to understand that liability pays somebody on your behalf. It protects your assets. You know, so again, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions about insurance. I wish I could explain to everybody how good insurance is.
I'm glad. So perfect. Tell me what you're doing today. What is Mary doing today? What's the name of the agency? Tell me more about your business.
Okay, Mary is a very happy retired woman.
Yeah.
I
Traveling the world.
traveling the world, visiting my kids in Denver.
Yeah.
I have right now I have 7 grandkids.
Wow.
All over. I have from a 20-year-old medical student in Gainesville to a 10-month-old twin girls. So I'm very excited about this phase of my life. However, we still have the agency. My daughter Melissa is taking care of the agency. Melissa is a graduate of the University of Miami. She has a degree in finance. She's been licensed for over 20 years, and she's taking the agency to the next level. She, even though I have all this expertise and all this knowledge, she's better because she has the technology that I lack. So, you know, it takes me a couple of hours to probably prepare a new business for submissions to the company, and she'll probably do it in 10 minutes.
Wow.
You know, she's very knowledgeable. She's taking the agency to the next level. We have an agency in Miami.
What is the name of the agency and the
name
address?
of the agency is Orange Group Insurance. Orange because my family is very much into football, especially the U, and they wanted to represent Florida.
The local
somehow,
community,
the
yeah.
local community. So the Orange Group Insurance has been established since 2007, I think, even though we've been in business since 1994. But again, the agency is fully licensed. Everybody in the agency is fully licensed. Our employees have been with us for 10, 12 years.
Wow.
And doing great.
Perfect. I will put the contact information right around here for everybody to see. That way you guys could reach out to the Orange Group and Melissa, who's here virtually every day. Mary, this is a personal development podcast. And so I always like to ask my guests, what is the best piece of advice that anybody has ever given you?
I've always been told to do the right thing. So I rather do the right thing than not doing the right thing. I like to offer my customers the best coverage available. I do not sell based on price. I sell based on coverage. And that's what I tell my daughter all the time. And my son, I have a son in Denver who's in the insurance business. I have a daughter in Denver who's in the insurance business. Excuse me.
You're good.
And I always tell them, do the right thing.
Okay.
Do the right thing for the customer. Have the best interest of your customer in mind, and you will have customers for the rest of your life.
That's powerful. Yeah, and very true. And what if you could be a mentor for someone else out there, anybody in the audience? What piece of advice would you give them?
If you want to know about insurance, call me.
That's a great piece of advice. That's great. Well, Mary, thank you so much for having us. No, it's my pleasure.
Thank you, Alex.
You were phenomenal.
It's a pleasure. Alex is part of a group that I belong to, and it's an outstanding group of professionals. And I'm glad that I met you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much.